Hey y'all, in this video we are going to go over the instructions for the Poe Dialectical Journal that you are going to start on today. So yesterday you should have selected the short story written by Edgar Allan Poe that you are going to read independently this week, and your choices were The Black Cat or The Cask of Amontillado. And if you didn't make a selection, you can go to yesterday's work in this module and you can find which, short descriptions of each of the stories and vote on which one you are going to read. So both of them are very similar to The Telltale Heart, and there's not a bad choice that you can make. So as you start reading your short story independently today, you are going to write a dialectical journal. And you may be wondering, what is a dialectical journal? And I think you may have done something similar to this in other grades. It may not have been called this. It might have been called a reading log or reader response, 2-column log, something like that. But basically, a dialectical journal is a method of responding to the reading. So it largely takes the thoughts that you are having as you read and it makes them visible in writing, which can make them more concrete in our minds. Sometimes we might just have a passing thought as we read and we may not really realize it or, make much meaning of it, but being forced to write it down will help us process the story and analyze it. So it is formatted into 2 columns, thus the prefix di in dialectical journal. Di means 2. And each column has a specific purpose. So we'll look at an example here below. But basically, the purpose of it is just to identify significant pieces of the text and then to analyze and explain that significance. So this is going to help you pick out textual evidence. This is going to help you analyze. This is going to help you explain that evidence. And these are things that are, one, super important just in general, providing evidence for why you think the way you do. But this is going to be a huge theme in the rest of your English classes, and each year you're going to be expected to be able to do it at a higher level. So it's important that we start practicing this now so that you get really good at it by the time you are, heading into AP English classes. So let's look at an example. So you have up here above the black cat, you have a link. It says, please click here to make your own copy of the assignment. When you click on it, it'll look like this. You'll hit make copy. And this will be the template that you use as you read your short story. So it says dialectical journal at the top, and it looks like this. So we're going to go through each part. So here, first, it asks you the title of the book, or in this case, our short story. So that would be, either The Black Cat or it would be The Cask of Amontillado. And then underneath it, you have author. So in this case, it's going to be Edgar Allan Poe because he's the author of both of them. So you'll write that there. Then, scrolling down, you are going to make a claim as you read. You're going to find evidence for that claim. Then you're going to analyze that evidence and explain it. So let's look at the example that I have here on the instructions. I think that'll be a little bit easier. All right, so I did an example from The Telltale Heart. So I put the claim, the author uses indirect characterization to display the narrator's insanity by showing that the only thing he hated about the old man is the way his eye looks. So as I was reading, I came across this passage, and I put this in the left-hand column under evidence. It says, write text from your book or story that supports your claim. So the passage I picked was, quote, I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. And then I cut out a portion of it just because the explanation was very long about the eye, and I didn't feel like it was necessary to the point that I was making. So I put little brackets and 3 dots in the end bracket. I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and thus rid myself of the eye forever. And then you'll see afterwards I put at the end of the sentence, I didn't put a punctuation mark. I put the quotes, and then I put the parentheses, the author's last name, so in this case, Poe, the page number 1, and parentheses, and then I put the punctuation mark on the outside of the parentheses. So in this case, it was a period at the end, so I just put a period here. So that's the evidence that I found to support this claim that the narrator is insane. Then my analysis, here on the right-hand side, you are going to have at least 3 sentences. So your first sentence can be summary. Your summary part should be no more than 1 sentence. Not necessary. We want to get to the analysis part. So 1 sentence summary, then your 2 sentences are going to be your analysis. So I wrote here, at this point in the story, the narrator has started explaining how he is not crazy and why it was rational to kill the old man. So that's the summary here. This is what's happening when during the quote that I picked. This quote showcases the indirect characterization of the narrator's insanity by showing that the only thing he hated about the old man is the way his eye looks. So you'll notice that this is very similar to the claim that I put up here, all right? The narrator states that he even loves the old man, just hated his eye. Any sane person does not commit murder because of the way a person's eye looks. So that's my further explanation. So that's my example of 1 entry for a dialectical journal. Now you may be thinking, all right, I can pick a quote, I can write a summary, but how do I get to that claim and that analysis part? So I uploaded a resource here in Canvas right after this assignment that says Claim Frames Dialectical Journals PDF. And when you open it up, it has a bunch of sentence starters that you can use for your analysis. And when I say that you can use them, what I'm really saying is that I want you to use them. So it has some explanation of why to use the claim frames that you can look at, but then it has different categories. So theme or character analysis, motivation, tone and mood, what else? Symbolism, figurative language, etc. So there are several different categories depending on what you're looking at, and it can help you kind of narrow in your focus or pay attention to something. So you'll see that I picked this one right here. So this quote showcases and then I decided it was indirect characterization of the narrator, because of course we didn't have his name. And then I said the narrator's insanity, that was the trait I was focusing in on, and then that evidence was about his eye, the fact that he decided to kill the man because of his eye. So I just used this exactly, and I filled it in here, and then I further explained it. And when I say I filled it in here, I mean I filled it in on the instructions. So you're going to do the exact same thing with the Poe short story that you picked to read independently. So here's your template, and here is just exactly what we looked at. You have your claim right here, and I said use your claim frames, and they have some explanation here. Remember, a strong claim makes for a strong analysis, and that is the most important part of what we're getting at. And then we have the evidence section, which is where you're going to write the quote, and we have the parentheses for you to write your author's last name in and the page number. It's important that we cite where we got it from. And then on the right-hand side, we have our analysis. And I reminded you here that this summary can be the first sentence, and then your explanation should be 2 or more sentences. In my case, I had 1 sentence summary and 3 sentences explanation. And I did that for each of them. So this is your first one, the pink one. The second one is an orangish color, and I took away the explanations just because I figured you could go up and refer to those there. Then we have yellow one, a green one, and a bluish one. So you have 5 different ones to complete for your short story, and I want them to be thorough. So, you'll be writing a good, at least, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish sentences for each one. So it'll take a little bit of time, but, you should you should do some at the beginning, and in the middle, and at the end. Don't just try to knock them all out at the beginning, because that's not going to help you analyze it to the fullest extent that you can. So if you have any questions, please message me. I am always happy to help, and happy writing.